Just another one of those sleepless nights. And it's always 3 a.m. or close to it. And I can lay here, try to lay down at a reasonable time. Say if I had kids, which maybe I have some somewhere that I don't know about, but I highly doubt it. Uh, I just can't stand watching all the things that I've ever loved completely disappear. I mean, I didn't really do an intro with this third volume, but it doesn't really matter anymore considering the pretext of the previous two and the groundwork I laid out within, the speaker's tree, even, or my thesis statements, and trying to figure out what I really wanted to do with this and what I really wanted to express in ways that words or paintings couldn't express, because we want and we need to have something interactive in this. I went from the age of information to now the age of isolation, as I'm calling it, right? The post internet epoch, the digital frontier, digital dark ages, even with the erasure of data and overwriting of the early thousands, the pre social media internet, where individuality and novelty was king. And I have Somewhere Over the Rainbow stuck in my head right now for no particular reason at all, and it's very annoying. You know, um, and that in itself has its contexts for numerous reasons for the people that are well aware of the history with what's it, Yellow Brick Road, geez, the Ruby Red Slippers, uh, Wizard of Oz. That's it. You know, and how those people suffered immensely for their art, but there's also connotations of MK Ultra and brainwashing and cultural superiority. Media campaigns. What can I say? This there's a dearth, a very like a expansive amount of information on the internet, and some people might look at me like I'm some sort of psychological warfare expert or operative. But the truth is that especially after the highlight of the Patriot Act and Edward Snowden and Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, the awakening of the population after 9/11 and the distribution of information, which was allowed by 56K modems, and then DSL and DSN, not DSN. What was it? There's something in between. I'm trying to remember what it was, because it's just like, if I'm going to refer back to previous videos again, I encourage you to watch all of these, because it's one giant puzzle, as it is kind of by design, because the most interesting things are stimulating on many different levels. And I've been thinking about this for a very long time, because I'm just so sad. I'm so sad to watch everything that I love disappear and be hijacked by uh, these weapons of war, right? And hyper targeting, right? Hyperactive targeting, in that, even within all the misinformation that's available, because there's stupidity unlimited, right? The great tragedy of humanity is that intelligence is so finite, and that idiocy is so infinite. I can't remember exactly who said that, but it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter after a while who the authors are, or you know some of the best works of literature in the world are written anonymously. They don't have any authors, and these are things that I carry heavy on my mind, not just because I'm getting older, but because I've always been this way. As long as I can remember. If you want to talk about my suffering, um, especially as one of these different kind of people, hyper intelligence. Maybe I did win the genetic lottery for intelligence, and I accept that if that's the truth. I do. But what I don't accept is human behavior and the negative side and the dark side of humanity, because we're always fighting it, right? And I'm still fighting it even now, and I'll keep on fighting it for the rest of my life. I don't have a choice anymore. I can't just sit here and watch the people that I loved and that I do love continue on the rest of their lives as the walking dead. The dystopia, we're living it. We're living it. We created our own prison because we allowed the sleek and the highly polished manufactured, that's the dog, like she's dreaming right now about running in her younger years. Because what I did with Zoe was, I've had working dogs my entire life, and with a working dog, they have to have a job, right? Otherwise they get self-destructive, or they get really annoying to their handlers, so to speak. Not that I'm speaking to anyone like that. Excuse me. Because the nature of the internet, and since we're all operatives now, right, by the usage of the technology, which is very scary and very creepy, right? The changeover of the control of information from the church, then to universities, and also some secret societies, right, as some people believe them to be. These secret things of the universe. But what's the point without other people? What's the point of being wealthy without other people of any kind, right? Every man an island, and all of us in a sea of despair, able to see each other over the horizon, yet not being able to touch or feel. too much technology, just like too much liberalism, leads to slavery. And, this is highlighted by other intelligent minds on YouTube and of writings, academic writings in universities across the world, in colleges and in people's bedrooms, like I'm doing right now, and in offices, in cafes, wherever, this human network that's trying to figure out, what do we do now, right? What do we do now? What the fuck are we doing? And why are we doing it? Like, what is the age old questions of literature, and hence I'll probably read, with this third volume, the Paradise Lost, right, the second part, because if we don't speak this stuff into existence again, and we don't learn from it, if we don't learn about the shared history that is the oral tradition, through the generations, then we're all lost, and we'll continue to be hijacked by the vices and the excesses that are complicit in causing our current condition, right? Because we choose our standard of living. We choose to involve ourselves. And again, for as long as people are listening, for as long as you're watching, I'll keep doing this, because whatever, until the goals are achieved in this Truman Show of, an altered reality, where some people believe that the simulation is better than reality, and that reality is the simulation, because of the senses, that nothing is real anymore. I know it's real. I know that I exist. Right? These are the questions that are raised in philosophy for millennia. And I have no problem with mental masturbation in answering these things in my own way, as to the capacity and the knowledge and understanding that I do have. Having the advantage of the internet since 1997, and a computer in front of me for almost my entire life, right? That lens. Oh yeah, I got the picture. I get the picture. It's pretty fucking good, right? And I'm not trying to. People will look at me like as I've said before, people look at me like they do other artists, and always asking the question, who was that man, right? Was he putting on an act? Was that truly who he was? Right? What does, okay, so what's the line you're going to put on your gravestone? Are you going to have one at all? Not everyone has the opportunity to be buried with honors, or have any honor or any people at their ceremony whatsoever. And this is why people are committing suicide. It's not just the absence of religion and the replacement they're in lieu of an organization and of a community. And it's not just because of degeneracy and homosexual behaviors or transgenderism. You know, it's not just because psychopaths rule the world and that we want to blame someone. We want something. We want drama, right? We want to be entertained. We want bread and circus. When you spend so much of your life trying to prove to other people that you're one of the best in the world and that you're one of the most intelligent and that you deserve more and you're better than anybody ever thought that you were, because you spent your entire life, your entire early life, being misunderstood, being misinterpreted, being unable to, put things into words, being unable to communicate, and having everything that you say or do or express fall on deaf ears. So to speak of my suffering, not to say that my suffering is any more important or of any more weight than other people. And, I don't, a lot of times now, I don't even want to talk to strangers. Anything more than, a bit of chit chat, is small talk, because at the heart of it, I've been heartbroken for years. I've been heartbroken, geez, as long as I can remember. And it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. A death by 1,000 cuts by every person that I've ever known. And then the cuts that I've done to myself over the years, thinking that I was the problem. But I'm not the problem. I can remember when I was very young trying to make friends with older kids. And there was a mini golf course somewhere at a church camp. I can't remember exactly where. But I remember the older kids were screwing around and I wanted to be involved. And they just launched with a putter a ball down the lane and up a ramp. And I just happened to peek my head because, it was one of those, crokinole or, say a skee ball kind of arrangements with a golf ball. And it launched it and it went straight into my eye socket. I must have been, I don't know, like 4 to 6 years old, somewhere in there. I've never really gotten into many fights, not even as a kid. What was the point in fighting other people? What was the point? I remember and understood when another child drowned. A lot of people remember this too, at Circle Square Ranch in the Muskokas. I was very young. Imagine all these occurrences, and they're not unique to me. Everybody has a story like this. And then I can remember after moving here to London that I was just so distraught and so hurt by the inability and the cruelness of other children that I stuck a knife in the kitchen into an electrical socket. And I know I don't ever tell anybody about that. But now the whole world knows it. So fuck it. Right? Where else are you supposed to go from there? I never liked conflict. Not ever. And if it ever came down to it, like, those visual art pieces, which, someone called me out for it, and this has been very dark recently, especially after so much effort and so little appreciation and understanding and a lack of empathy, to be honest with you, because the money was just not matching. It's just not matching, and it doesn't replace the time lost, right? It doesn't replace the broken relationships. It doesn't replace the family issues, and it doesn't replace the loss of self in the process. I once flung myself out to Quebec City, to work at Discovery Air for $17.50 an hour. Discovery Air is obviously gone now. They used to be a large company with many different holdings across Canada. And before that, I was at MHI as just fresh out of school. Well, about a year, 2 years after, or a year and a half, for $19 an hour to work on aircraft, right? For rich and powerful people. And the only thing that ever really kept me going was the novelty and the adventure, right? To see how much I could accomplish, to go to places I'd never been before, to retrace my steps of previous relationships in Toronto and establish new ones, to further my understanding of those people and why they felt the way they did about certain places in Toronto, and to have a conversation with the land, right, as an artist, and plan out what I wanted to do with my art and what I wanted to do with my career in aviation. Having this childhood love and also desire to just run away and disappear completely so that I wouldn't ever have to deal with anybody else's bullshit ever again. Because if you're going to go by what else, some people that saw this encroaching monster, right, that is destroying us all, right? And it's not just how the logistics or how it's just dicks on the internet, right? Or the narcissism or the slavery of the self in order to gain fame and fortune for a flash in the pan of 15 seconds of fame. I'd rather, for 15 seconds, think about what I do for the rest of my life and who I'd want to spend it with. Honestly, I couldn't even answer it within 15 seconds. Because, after, as the wisdom goes, after a certain number of relationships, no matter what their capacities, I pretty much ran the gamut, or at least I think I did, of the 12 different personality types. And after that, if you want to ask me about my relationship history and why I decided to remove myself from the dating pool voluntarily, right? Not just for the red pill or some MGTOW mentality, but because I wanted to pursue something greater, right? A delayed gratification of such great heights, and something for myself so that I could be satisfied and not just be happy for a moment, and ecstatic or in ecstasy, so to speak, and not have to rely on the next trip or the next high. Right? Where am I going to go? Where am I going to go this time? I'm going to cross off all of these countries. I'm going to cross off all of these provinces, and then when that's done, I've had this conversation with a previous friend, but there's a reason why things end, right? You cut people out of your life for whatever reason, and I don't like doing that. I hate abandonment. I try not to abandon people because I understand and I empathize, having been such a lone wolf for most of my life, right? That some pain just isn't worth it. And we seek out, again, this greener grass on the other side. And I did a painting about it, and it's on my DeviantArt, up for posterity. I encourage you to go find it. It's automatic.deviantart.com, and I was using that before I switched to a Tumblr because of the influence of an ex-girlfriend and wanting to to talk with her and, show her, it was cool to do, right? It's just like another form. It was just another form of social media. That's what it was. But way too instantaneous, very much addictive. Same as it was with Twitter, right? These and then Reddit, right? The more open, more instantaneous RSS feeds, which were mainstreamed. And I was a message board kind of person for the longest time. Say like Something Awful or Cadet World, or with Pink Bike and Drop Machine. There was a much more diverse internet before. And again, this is highlighted and talked about by other people in other videos, along the lines of, okay, people only choose to go to about 4 or 5 different websites their entire lives now. And, that's the monopoly of the information. And again, too much concentration of the information in the hands of the few becomes corruption. And hence why, these titans of information technology the tech companies decided to break them up a little bit with Meta and with Alphabet, and trying to diversify whatever pursuits you fellas are after. I don't always understand what you're trying to do. I'm just learning it, and I'm going through it at the same time as you are. And that's the truth of the matter. I keep trying to use this pillow, right? And it ain't what it used to be. And some of you might be disgusted by it, but it's nice to have some things in your life that are always there, that don't change. And this pillow is one of them. That this phone is supported by. And I've tried to take it almost everywhere, like childhood things, whatever. There's no shame in admitting that, or just having some talisman, or a rosary or whatever else that reminds you of where you come from and what it took for you to get to where you are now. Because photographs fade just like memories. How do you erase someone's identity? You get rid of their memories. Like tears in the rain, right? I don't claim to be an expert in any of these thought pursuits, or exercises, or these cross examinations of history in the contemporary era, this post internet epoch. Or, I don't pretend to understand the excitement and the necessity of the inventors, in collaboration with each other through DARPA and so on and so forth. Excuse me. But there's just a dark portion of humanity that has completely and utterly dominated this space. And there's so many other people out there that are trying to, communicate this and go about it in their own way. But they don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, because either they come from a different era, or, they're just sick and tired of being sick and tired about it. And I've played so many video games, so many hours in front of a computer, that I'm at the point now where I don't even want to be. Right? This is why I say, don't be an idiot like me. Don't spend so much time in front of a phone or computer. It's okay to leave your phone at home. You don't need to bring it with you everywhere. You don't need to pull out your, I find this actually really annoying. You pull out your phone for every single experience and record it. Some things are just to be taken in. And the example that I'm going to speak of that is fresh in my mind, and I can play it, was when I was in Kelowna and watching the mosquito come in for the first time. And I won't look left and right, and everybody else, for the most part, had their phones out. But what does it matter if you're just doing it through a proxy, right? Is that really your experience? Or is that your experience of technology, through the lens, or say your experience of reality through the lens of technology, camera obscura, which is then therefore a distortion of perception. It doesn't matter how much convenience or technology that we have. We will always be killing each other. We will always be killing ourselves. And frankly, there's just not much we can do to stop it. We can arrest it, we can hold it back. But at a certain point, the self-destructive nature of ourselves is unignorable. Then we have to meditate on that. Right? This moment in history, if I ever get listened to, because I hate the loss of love. I hate it. I hate breakups of families. I hate ignorance, deceit, and doubt. I hate the anxiety. I hate the paranoia. All these things that get in the way of pure thought, so to speak, right? And the pursuit of reason, whatever that's supposed to mean. Because, even after all my efforts to improve myself, I can't do anything about how other people perceive me. I can't I can't kill my way, or, you know, shoot up a school, or shoot up a church, or shoot up a grocery store or a movie theater and get my message heard, because it won't change anything. It'll just spread the suffering to everybody else. Right? I could commit multiple acts of domestic terrorism, or, an insurgency, inspire an insurgency somewhere else. And what would it do? It wouldn't necessarily change anything. It would just install another person that's more favorable to me than it is to someone else. Because I didn't want, I didn't have good intentions. I wanted to destroy the world for what they've done, what the world has done to me, and what it's done to other people, because the indifference of our existence. I wanted to blow up on people as revenge. I wanted to make women feel my pain and my suffering for my sacrifices. I didn't ever want to torture people or anything like that. I just wanted the weight of my existence to be felt in this void, because all I ever sought was to make a better version of myself through discipline, integrity, and character. But these things just don't seem to matter anymore. Yeah. At the bottom of scientific inquiry, you find God again. I am not a God. I'm just a speck of dust inside a giant's eye. And hopefully, I'll see through the prism of this existence and be reminded of the beauty of it all. I hope you get there too.